All shortly. Oh, perfect. You can mute my device. Okay. Shortly, shortly. My mouse is acting. I'm busy. Stop. Okay, I'm gonna put my phone on do not disturb. Okay. Okay. But in one moment. Okay. Okay, it's a few technical challenges at the moment, but we are going to get started. Okay, let's share. Okay, let's share my screen. Okay, let's. Um, 1 moment. System whole. Show my task. So this is no. Let me hold on. Children tower screen. Just want to one portion of the screen. Right. Okay. Portion of the screen. Perfect. Okay. I think we are ready to rock and roll. Okay. Okay, that took a minute. All right. So there was made me a little bit bigger. All right. So little off schedule today, but welcome to the Beauty Boardroom's student. Uh-oh. Hold on 1 second. I want to know, can I lock this into place? Can I? Let me spotlight. Will it let me lock this into place? All right. Okay. I think we have it together at this juncture. So, welcome everybody. My name is Meah Tway. I am a cosmetology educator, founder, and your student success coach of the Beauty Boardroom. I want to thank you for joining our student success office hours. This is our live virtual study coaching session. Okay. So these office hours are designed to help cosmetology students and related professions to develop better study habits so that you can get ready for your board exams and stay motivated through your educational journey. So I will set a few expectations for this group. This is going to be is designed to be an interactive group session. So throughout the discussion, if you have any questions, we will encourage questions. But if you have any individualized study queries for yourself, I would like to ask that you leave those to the end of the session. In addition to that, if you feel that after this, you need even more individualized or specialized study preparation, I will be offering one-on-one coaching sessions to help you and you specifically with your individual needs for the exam. Okay, so everybody at this juncture is muted. Whenever we get to the portion where you can unmute, I'll ask that you unmute yourselves if you want to participate in speaking. Whoop, wait a minute. All right. Okay, so like I said, welcome. To the Beauty Boardroom. And these sessions, or rather, the Beauty Boardroom was created to help students to study a little bit smarter whenever studying for exams. We're also going to focus on studying strategically for exams, and I'm going to help you to prepare for those exams in the best way possible. That way we can get you to pass your exam on the first attempt. This will be a learning format through practical coaching and guided exercises to help you to move forward in your educational journey. All right, so let's. Oh, okay, I thought this was. I thought that it was. Okay. All right, there we go. I think that'll do us. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I think that'll do us. Okay, so what? Hold on. Let me stop my screen share. Let me restart my screen share because I am just. This is the. Okay, let's hold on 1 minute. One moment. Okay, share settings. So let's share a portion of the screen. Share the portion of the screen. The portion of the screen I'm sharing. Okay. And I wonder, will it still overlay me? Okay. All right, we do have an agenda for today. Um, and I'm gonna try my best to stay on topic amongst the tech issues that I'm having today. Um, that shouldn't be too much of a distractor. Okay, so the philosophy behind the beauty boardroom. So my philosophy with the beauty boardroom is that I want to help you study strategically, build your understanding, practice consistency, and prepare confidently for your board exam. So in order for you to do that, we have these study sessions designed to help you to move through different action items so that you can be better. Okay, so the purpose. Uh, Clearly, these study sessions are to help you to enhance your study skills. As you can see, that's our flyer for today's session. I'm going to help you to build confidence and stay accountable so that you can reach your licensure faster after you graduate from the program. So, a little bit about me. My name is Meah Tway, and I'm a licensed educator, licensed cosmetologist within the state of Michigan, the great state of Michigan. I went to beauty school back in, what year was it? 2014 or 2015? No, I started beauty school 2014, graduated shortly after that. I was a part-time evening student. I went to a local school in the Metro Detroit area. Finished that in whoa, 2016, I believe I finished. Got my license shortly after that. August 14, I believe, was my graduation date. That's going to be coming up pretty soon. Um, and let's see, I also did the cosmetology instructor program at the same institution that I went to cosmetology school for. After that, I took my board exam almost a year after I graduated the program. The reason for the delay was during COVID. There was a stay in place order, so a lot of testing proctors were not offering their examinations. Once the restriction was lifted, I was able to travel to Ohio in order to get my exam proctored by the test provider that is here in Michigan. Passed that exam on the first attempt just the same. And that's the aim and reason behind these sessions. I want to help other people do the same as I did to pass that exam on the first time so that you could get licensed and get on and making some money. Okay, so that said, we're going to start with off with a little icebreaker. I want to know what's your name, where you're from, what you're studying for, and if anybody wants to unmute themselves at this time on the Zoom. Let me check out the Zoom. That way, in the event anybody wants to unmute themselves, they will be able to. Anybody out there want to unmute? If you wish to unmute, you can do so at this time. Okay, if nobody wants to share today, we'll just go on to the next action item in our agenda, which is, okay, next action item in our agenda is going to be our lesson of the day. So we're going to go to our lesson of the day. And if you recall, or if you participated in session one, of the Beauty Boardroom live virtual coaching, you will know that today your homework is due, and the homework was for you to do three things. The three assignments were, one, I wanted you to check your state board exam website for your cosmetology or barber, esthetician, whatever board website. Wanted you to check that for your state. I wanted you to also find out who your testing provider was. Find out who the test proctor is for the state that you reside. In addition to that, I wanted you to print out your candidate information bulletin. Okay. So let's see, the candidate information bulletins. So, because we were going to talk about the exam structure, that's where we were headed with this. So let's see, we're going to, okay, I'm going to now share an additional screen. Okay. I'm going to share an additional screen. Okay, so this is the screen that is being shared right now. So this is, I live in the state of Michigan. So this is the state of Michigan Cosmetology Board website. And I wanted to bring you all, or I wanted to bring your attention to this website because this is how you would be able to, this is how you will be able to locate your board exam. So for example, your board exam or your cosmetology or licensed profession board of whatever state that you reside. So for example, I would, if I go on Google, I'm gonna go on google.com and I would type in Michigan Board of Cosmetology. Okay. If I lived in Ohio, I would type in Ohio State Board of Cosmetology. If I lived in Illinois, I would type in Illinois Board of Cosmetology, just the same. Okay, so we're gonna, for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to navigate to Michigan Board of Cosmetology. And I can see already we're gonna go a little bit over time today. That's okay, because like I said, we had a few tech issues that delayed me. So once you get to whatever your profession is, mine is cosmetology. So if I was a cosmetology student, I would be on this page and I would search for the information, Michigan Board of Cosmetology licensing information. Okay. Here's the licensing information section here on the website. And as you can see, there are all the different professions. Within the state of Michigan, we can license for cos instructor, cos, manicure, electrology instructor, electrologist, esthetician, esthetician limited instructor, manicurist limited instructor, natural hair cultivation or braiding, we'll put that in air quotes, natural hair culturist limited instructor. We can also license for apprenticeship. Okay, so I'm going to click, well, for the purposes of our example, let's click Cosmetology Instructor Licensing Guide. So this is what a licensing guide looks like. Okay, you can see that for the state of Michigan, it's the Licensing and Regulatory Affairs Bureau of Professional Licensing. So if I were to scroll through this, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for who the test proctor is. Okay, so if I was to follow and scroll down, it says that this is the licensing guide. It tells you everything that you need. And here's the key part where it says have passed the theory examination. So for exam questions or to schedule your exam in Michigan, you have to visit this particular website. Okay. So that said, we're going to navigate now to the test proctor's website. Okay. This is the test proctor's website. They have changed their website most recently in the recent past. Even within the past month, the website has changed up a little bit. It appears that a lot of states are moving towards this concept of a national barber and cosmetology exam format. So along those lines, testing rubrics and things are a little bit different than they were in recent past. Okay, so I would navigate here as if I'm a test taker. Okay, and then I'm gonna type in my state. I'm in Michigan. So this particular exam proctors exams from multiple disciplines. So if you click or if you select a state across all industries, you will get a lot of different results, in which case you may need to filter through. So we're going to filter through a little bit further so that we can get our results even quicker. So, okay, here we go, Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, okay? And we're gonna scroll down. This is the place, this is the go-to resource for the exam within my state. Okay, and in order for us to navigate to what we're looking for, so I would really encourage everyone to check out these websites, check out your barber, check out your board exam website, get familiar with it. Check out the test proctor website, get familiar with it. I was just navigating through to show you where you would be able to find such information if you're looking for that specifically. So let's go back to our portion of the screen. Let's go back to our presentation here. Okay, so I showed you two things. I showed you how you can get to a board exam or board of your discipline website. I also showed you how to get to the test proctor website, just the same. Okay, like I said, the website changed a little bit and they moved to a different format. So you're going to have to really pay attention to where you can find that candidate information bulletin. I probably will create a separate video on where to find that, because since things moved around on that website, it's a little bit more difficult for you to locate where that candidate information bulletin is. It was a little bit difficult for me to find even, and I'm pretty internet savvy. So, okay, next thing. So now let's get to the candidate information bulletins, okay? This is what we want to get to. So I'm going to click on this. And for the purposes of my example, I'm going to use the instructor theory. And I'm going to share the screen. Okay, this is, make this a little bit smaller. Okay, so this is the Michigan Instructor Test Taker Guide by this exam proctor. Let me make that a little bit bigger. That way you can see. So this is the Instructor Test Taker Guide. I would encourage everyone, or also known as the Candidate Information Bulletin, okay? I would encourage everyone to make sure that you read this candidate information bulletin front to back, because I recall while in cosmetology school, we focused a lot on the theory portion. We focused a lot on the practical portion of exam taking. However, between finishing classes and actually sitting for the examination, there's a little something that sometimes gets missed in translation for some students. And I think it revolves around the concept of being able to test or being ready to test. It's not just about the content of being ready to test, but it's about even the administrative portion of registering for that test. Because if I'm not mistaken, now correct me if I'm wrong, but a few years ago, I'm referring to a few years ago, whenever I was in beauty school, once you were done with your once you were done with your program, the school had to send notification to the state that you had completed your hours. It was only at that juncture where you had to then reach out to the state and get the state to approve you to take your licensing examination. Then after that, you still had to register with the test proctor and actually pay the test proctor in order for you to actually register for the exam. So I don't know if it's still like that. I could probably create a dummy account and try to see if that is still the workaround for things, but there's a little bit of administrative legwork that you may have to do whenever you are ready to actually take your examination. So I encourage you to familiarize yourself with this document because it's very important. You'll need to know what it is that you're supposed to do, and the document will guide you through, and it'll tell you whether or not they need to have the state approve you to take the test. That way they just don't just get people paying them money and then wanting refunds, and the people aren't even ready to test. Okay, so that's a little backstory. So again, here it is right here about test eligibility. Okay, test eligibility. Oh, and now it says, oh wow, so there's a new requirement for this particular discipline. That's different. See, a couple of different things have changed. Like, I'm glad that I got licensed back in 2020 because, books change, proctors change, exam content changes. But even though things change and as we move forward in time, if you follow a study system that works, you can still be able to thrive and do well. So, okay, let's keep it moving because I know that I'm over time today, but that's okay. We're learning. Okay, so like I said, familiarize yourself with this candidate bulletin, but the most important part, I feel, of the candidate bulletin, and this is whenever you're getting into what you need to study. Every candidate information bulletin has the following thing. Boom, here it is. Here it is, okay? This is the instructor theory content outline. So, like I said, this is the example for the cosmetology or barbering esthetician instructor theory content outline for the state of Michigan. However, this is the thing that you need to know in order for you to do well on your exam. The content blocks, okay? So you see with this particular exam, there are content blocks. This is content block 1, learning and communication. It's worth 24% of the test weight. Content block 2, curriculum and lesson plan. That's worth 10% of the total. Content block 3, teaching methods, 30%. Content block 4, learner evaluation and assessment methods, that's 20%. Content block 5, classroom management, that's 16%. So all of those together equal 100%. Now, what that means is this. When you get ready to study for your exam, you need to tailor your studying based on the content blocks, okay? I know this is for the instructor theory portion, but I'm gonna open up an additional, let's open up an additional thing just for illustration purposes so that you can see. This is gonna be for the cosmetology test taker, okay? If we were to scroll all the way down in this candidate information bulletin, we will be able to find the different, excuse me, we will be able to find the content outline. So for the COS exam, safety and infection controls were 30% of that 100 grade. Content block 2, client consult and hair, skin, and nail analysis. That's 19% of that test score. Hairstyling is 2%. Hair cutting, 3%. Color, 10%. Chemical texture, 12%. Skincare, 4%. Eyelash and eyebrow. Now that's a new content block. That wasn't on there That wasn't on the test 10 years ago in this format, 4%. 9, hair removal, 8%. 10, nail care, 8%. Okay, so that's for illustration purposes. What this means is this. Whatever exam that you're studying, you need to make sure that you pay attention to the content weight of that exam. I'm going to, let's see. Oh, I could do a separate video for the other disciplines about the candidate information bulletins. Let's get back to today's lesson as it stands so that we can finish out our study session for today, and then we can plan for future study sessions. Okay, so like I said, candidate information bulletin, that's what you need to look at. That's what you need to locate. Okay, if you have not done so already. Now, we're going to just use this for example's sake, because we did see that for the instructor theory test rubric, let's say that I have 10 hours that I'm going to study. Okay. Out of the 10 hours that I'm going to study, what I can do is to figure out how much time I should devote to a particular subject or content block. I'm going to take my number of hours that I have available to study, and I'm going to multiply that by my percentage in order for me to get how long I need to study. So as an example, here we have the teaching methods. That was worth 30% of the total 100% score. So if I have 10 hours available to study, I'm going to take that percentage weight, and I can show you how to convert percentages to decimals. So anytime you want to convert a percentage to a decimal, you take the decimal place. So the number 30, the decimal is after the 0. You take that decimal, you move it over 2 times. So if you move over the decimal 2 times, you get 0.30. Okay. So you take your total amount of hours to study times the percentage, the decimal calculation, and it yields us how many hours? It means that I need to study 3 hours worth of teaching method subject. Okay. And you would do this for each separate content block. That way you determine how much time you need to spend studying one particular content block. Okay. So it sounds a little bit abstract right now. I know, because it's new. It's like, huh? Meah, what? So it does sound abstract. However, I promise you that if you do this way, and if you devote your a total available amount of study time into doing your studying in this method, your mind will be blown about how on point you will be with your knowledge base about that particular subject. It just is it works. It works. Okay. And as a matter of fact, I call it my beauty boardroom study allocation system. Okay. That's what I'm calling this. And it works. I promise you it works. It worked for me. And it can work for you too if you let it. So, but I don't have to sell you on it, because you'll see it works. So, all right. Now that we have this test rubric, this system that we can utilize to find out how much time you need to devote to a particular subject. Now that we have this, or now that you know that this exists, we can apply it. And what we're going to do is I'm going to allow for a few questions at this juncture. If anybody has any questions or concerns about this particular concept as it relates to what we're talking about with the test rubric. So does anybody have any questions at this time about the test rubric at all? And like our number calculations. Okay, if nobody has any questions at this juncture, what I'm going to do is we're going to move on to the next session. Well, not next session. Actually, we're going to move on to, I'm going to give you your assignment. Okay. Every week, we're going to do a weekly challenge. This will be a thing. I'm going to give you a goal to complete. Um, and I'm gonna, with the goal, I'm gonna tell you the amount of time that it's gonna take for you to complete this task. And then whenever you're done with that task, I want you to report back next week with your homework in hand and ready to take on the next lesson, because everything that we do every week is going to feed or lead into the other. So that's one of the reasons why we're going to use, why we're doing this live and why we're going to utilize YouTube to like repost the content so that you can work through this. If you would have missed a session, you could still follow along, and you can even join in on our next session that we have. Okay. So the homework or a weekly challenge for tonight. Okay, I want you to determine how much time that you have available to study for your exam. And I have a study time assessment survey that I would like everyone to complete. Let's go to, go to that link. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen here. Well, let's view. Well, oh yeah, well, let's just share the screen as it is. Okay. So I have what is called a study time assessment survey. And I want everybody to complete this survey. The document is available via Google Docs. What I will do is I will share the link to this Google document in the repost of this live video. That way you'll have access to the survey and you could complete it. In addition to that, if you have not already done so, I do want you to download your candidate information bulletin from the test provider's website, and I want you to have visited your state board website as well for your discipline if you have not already done so. So that is going to, actually, those are going to be the three things that you need to have ready by next week. I want you to determine the amount of study time that you have available for your exam, and you're going to determine that by completing the assessment survey. I'm going to leave the link in the description of the video for session of the replay video that's going to be cut and spliced of session 2. I'm also going to have the candidate info, or I need you to also make sure that you have your candidate information bulletin, because that is how we're going to do next week's session 3. Okay, so let's now go back to our presentation here. Okay, now at this juncture, I'm going to share with you a student success tip of the week. Now that I've already delivered your block of instruction, we've delivered the homework that you're expected to have by the next session. So today's student success tip of the week, whenever you study, don't highlight everything. Reason being, if you highlight everything, then you won't know what stands out. You won't know what's important versus what's not important. A lot of times people get that pink or yellow highlighter and they just get to going to town, highlighting everything in the book. You think everything's important, but everything is not important. Well, everything is important, but some of the words or verbiage, you don't need to remember everything. You need to remember the important things that are going to help you pass that test. Okay, so it may be helpful for you to highlight only like concepts, definitions, procedures, things that you really need to pay attention to, so that you can move forward in that particular content block. Okay, so that's your success tip of the week. All right, let's move right along to the rest of our agenda. Where are we at now? Okay, we're now to our inspirational thought. Inspirational thought for the week. So today's inspirational thought is brought to you by, uh-oh. Today's inspirational thought is brought to you by Booker T. Washington. who was an African-American educator, author, and orator. He was also a foundational leader and educator who advocated for vocational and industrial education. Okay, so the quote, here's one quote from Booker T. Washington that reads, "Success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles which he has overcome." Let that sink in. I'll read it again. Success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles which he has overcome. And again, that's by Booker T. Washington, African American educator, author, orator, who was a foundational leader who strongly advocated for vocational education. Okay, that's your word of encouragement until we meet again next week. Okay, so now is our wrap up time. So we got through today's lesson. We did the success tip of the week. I gave you your homework assignment, your words of encouragement. At this time, we are going to open up the floor for any questions. If anybody has any questions that they need to ask, concerns about anything that we've talked about today, anything that's on your mind pressing, I will give it a couple seconds. Let's see. Does anybody want to unmute? Okay, well, if nobody wants to unmute at this time, we will move on. Okay, so as we're nearing the end of this session, I want to encourage you all to follow the Beauty Boardroom on social media. We do have this YouTube channel, which is up and active. You can see this is what a screenshot of the site looks like. We always post every week to make notice of our student success office hours. So you can check our community post tab just the same. You can subscribe to our channel and check out different shorts that we have available. And as the community continues to grow, it'll continue to get more interactive and more people will be able to participate. We also have an Instagram page that is a work in progress. But on Instagram, we're there at the Beauty Boardroom Co. So that you can stay connected to us for updates and tips on what we're doing in the beauty community. All right. And I want to encourage you to register for the next session. You can register for the next session. Here's our QR code if you want to register for our next live virtual coaching session. Like I said, it's the type of thing where we're going to try to keep time every week, every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. at this juncture. We got a little bit of a late start today. It normally goes from 7:30 to 8 p.m., but it seems like we're going to go almost to 8:30 today. But that was just due to a few tech things that I had to work some kinks out. But you can register using our QR code. It'll take you right to the Zoom session website where you can register or RSVP. That way, whenever the session is ready, you will be able to join in on the Zoom call. All right. So I want to thank you all again for tuning in to the Beauty Boardroom's uh, student success office hours with our live virtual coaching done by me, Mia Tway, Coach Meah. I want to thank you all for being here. You are the best part of the Beauty Boardroom, and I want to encourage you to check out our other videos, and I will see you next week. I want you to study smarter, build your confidence, and pass your exam with purpose. Good luck on your board exam, and happy studying.